Hello and welcome to yet another bonus episode review for the Wind in the Willows series. This week it's Midsummer Night's Disaster, one of my all-time favourites. I love this one, so funny. And it's quite appropriate for this time of year. We had Midsummer fairly recently. We're in the middle of summer at the moment, so yeah, that's worked out well. So let's crack on and press play for this episode. Here we go, starting right now. So, this is another classic one directed by Francis Foes. I remember it on the, if it's there, it's in there somewhere, the Oh Mr. Toad VHS tape, and I remember as a child I got that, well eventually, I remember seeing it in a shop alongside a Tale of Two Toads, and I was like, I remember my mum saying, oh, you can have a Wind in the Willows video today. It was a rare treat. And we were in W.H. Smith in Harlow, in Essex, and yeah, they had the two videos there, and I was torn, like, which one do I want? And I went with the Tale of Two Toads because I'd seen it on TV fairly recently. So eventually got this one, and it was one of three on the cassette. There was Oarsman Toad, this one, and The Complete Bungler, which I've reviewed, of course, already. So he said there 26th of June actually. Which is a little while back, but not too long ago. So it's a very dramatic opening. Toad is very dramatic, as he always is, you know. Basically saying, "Oh, can't believe I'm still alive. I've had this big shock." And obviously, we'll find out what that shock is at the end of the episode. Got a lovely look to this episode. I love the clothes. I mean, they always look smartly dressed, don't they, all the characters, but look how beautiful they look here. We've got Badger in his wonderful beige jacket there, Mole in that lovely purple jacket, which we only saw in the later series. Ratty in his jumper, and Toad's well dressed as well, as always. And you see here, Toad's sort of not really part of the conversation at first, but you see he's listening, he's got ideas, just with those little glances at looking back, and that's why I love how they maybe use the Toad's eyes looking back like that. And you've always kind of, it suggests a thought, isn't it? So they build up to this, but Toad's not as funny as he always is. At this point, where he's just saying, "There's me," it's not. He could have said that a lot more funny. You know, it could have been a bit more drawn out. So it's like another craze, isn't it? You know, he wants to direct the summer entertainment. And surely Ratty and Mole and Badger would have seen that coming, all grouped together there. Oh, there isn't anyone else who could do this. So possibly a little bit weak in the script, I don't know. And it works. So there's Toad going up and down on his stepladder, collecting books. Lovely animation this. You can see the books piling up each time he goes, and then classic camera shake. I love the way that book drops down at the end right in front of him. Very appropriate, isn't it? So this is Toad thinking, right, William Shakespeare, so obviously, well, of course he's heard of William Shakespeare, but we assume he knows nothing about Shakespeare, which of course he reveals. So there he is, kind of in that beautiful set, the library set, and you can see how big it is. I mean, you can almost see the join there, see that line in the floor there. It's where the two halves join, and obviously when they're not as wide as this, they would, they would remove that half section. So assume there's a wall maybe on the left where the animator would lean in. These days, of course, you'd have a plate and you'd put that section in and take it out while you're animating, and they use the plate to paint it back in. In those days, you've got to think about animator access, and you haven't got the wonders of computers. So Toad's got this idea here, which turns out to be ridiculous, but ridiculously funny. Which we'll find out soon, obviously. I love how we can read the invitation there. We've got the date and everything. Really nice. It's funny when I've put the photo of one of these chairs up occasionally. When I looked at the archive, I think only one survives in the archive now. So nice to know that one's there. The one that Mole's sitting on. But the furniture's changed over the years. That chair only appeared in later episodes. So various reasons, don't know. That is wearing a brown jumper there, which actually is quite rare to see that one. So queuing up for auditions, I like this. Of course, Toad's roping all the youngsters into it. Well, it's a summer entertainment, so we assume they always would be involved. Now, interesting, the line here that this character takes. I'm 99% sure that was the director, Francis Foes. He told me that he did minor voices in his episodes, and it pretty much sounds like him. And there's definitely a line later with another youngster. You can tell it's him. Well, I can tell it's him. That jacket that Toad's wearing, that exists today as well. Beautiful, beautiful jacket. Very rich in colours this episode. I've always felt it just, the quality of the image is just stunning. I mean, all these, obviously they're from the DVDs and they're from the cine prints I think they would have had. I don't think they're from the original camera negatives, because I don't think they've survived, unfortunately. I think they were thrown out, sadly. But it just looks stunning, this one. I think the colours are so rich. So this is Toad revealing now that he's mixing up different literature. So he started with the title, Midsummer Night's Dream, but it's not really the story of it. He's mixing up Robin Hood. And I like this, these lines here. No, of course I'm not looking for Robin Hood. Because of course Toad's playing it. And then, of course, he's mixed up the Three Musketeers.
Yes, and I'm playing him too. D'Artagnan in Shakespeare. Don't be silly, Ratty. The Three Musketeers is written by Shakespeare. Oh, dear. It's by Dumas. No, I think it's someone French.
Love it, I think that's someone French. So it's the typical humour that we've had in earlier series. I always wonder about the pacing though, because you could argue that a lot of these later episodes are a little bit quicker, but they're still pretty slow in places. You think some of it could have been sped up a little bit, certainly with Toad here and there. Now, I love this scene where he's basically teaching or attempting to teach the youngsters about health and safety. And of course Toad is the last person you'd want a lesson from in health and safety. Billy Rabbit is quite cheeky in this episode, it's quite nice. Beautiful prop that, wasn't it, that electrical generator. And he's talking about electricity, which of course we reviewed Gadget Mad quite recently. And you can see Toad's absolutely using electricity now. He's totally, which would be right for that period. He's so proud of knowing the word throne. Again, the eyelids and the cheeks going up, and he's so proud of that. Very clear animation. Not Paul Berry, but everybody, was really up to speed by this point and totally understood the characters. And of course, and this isn't the only time Billy's trying to point out something to Toad. He's tried, it's totally Toad's fault. Some nice effects there, using glass and animation, like vibration animation, where you animate up, down, up, down, up, down. And the same with Toad going, which David Jason does so well, and it's beautifully translated, and the lips sort of trembling. And this is Francis Foes. Sorry, I was talking over it, but that little film I was talking down, that I can tell that's the director. I love the timing of this. Toad looking around slowly and then His eyes just look down at the wire and then he reacts really quickly. Beautiful. And I love this shot. This shot is so well composed in terms of the camera move. It's really well planned. And as the camera pans down, lovely sense of space and depth where you have all these foreground statues. You've got the fountain there. Just lovely, and the car parts. It's just beautiful. And then we have the weasels. Now the front of Toad Hall, I must admit, it's no definitive version because it does change. There's not a lot of continuity there, so there's various versions of it throughout the series. It'd be nice for me to go back and really look at what would be the definitive front of Toad Hall, because that water fountain was only brought in later episodes. But in earlier episodes, it's much more bare around the front. You assume there's a road leading out to a gate. You can see there's a tree here. Nice how we saw Toad talking at Toad Hall and he's walked all the way. And it's just about the right distance for him to get there, isn't it? So the weasels here. There's the music that you can hear is very kind of it's like creepy music, isn't it? It's like you can tell something's happening. It's obviously related to the weasels, and we first hear it in the Tale of Two Toads, which obviously preceded these episodes. And of course, Toad's feeling threatened by the weasels, so he feels obliged to kind of let them be involved with the summer entertainment. We assume they haven't been involved in the past. Although you think back to the producers lot, the earlier episode from series 3 where Badger puts on a show of the Pirates of Penzance. I haven't reviewed it yet, but that's where the weasels are involved. So I guess there's nothing new with them being involved. They are part of the community, after all. One of us, as the others say in certain episodes. Just nice lines in this. I think this one's got a lot of good one-liners. So it's the weasel chief going on about wood. We've got that music again. Boom, boom, boom. Very simple chords or notes. And there's the result of their efforts, the tree. Actually, talking about the weasels being involved, Badger is startled when Ratty reveals that the weasel's involved. Badger obviously is getting suspicious now when he finds out. So I guess when you think about it, the series maturing, maybe time has gone on and they're trusting the weasels less and less, whereas they're a little bit more lenient in previous episodes, despite the events of the feature film, the original story. Even this scene, very short scene in Toad Hall, just looks beautiful. The lighting and everything, it's just really nicely done. Those weasels really stand out. And the black of the walls and everything is very dense. The contrast between that and the white and the weasel's face there, and the light hitting them, it's really strong. She calling him Plankhead as he does so many times. The only other thing I would say though is with David Jason's performance of the Chief in these final episodes, I don't know if anyone else has picked up on it, he almost sounds a bit worn out with it. Like he's not putting the full effort in of this like snarling creature. It's absolutely there with Toad. But I don't know, just sense it. Now, Mole's costume there was recently discovered. I don't know if I'm sure many of you know about the news that the puppets were recently discovered, almost put up for auction, and then the archive were able to secure them, they were donated to them, so that's wonderful. And there was a mole puppet wearing that exact fire tuck costume. Sorry to say, the mole isn't in a great shape, he hasn't lasted well. but some of the other puppets have really lasted, so that's wonderful. I'm yet to see them, but I'm looking forward to having a look when I can. So here we are, this is the show being put on. Lovely set, a lot of darkness around there, but that feels appropriate with the lighting on the stage. Actually reading his lines. There's Otter at the back there, you don't see often, certainly not in Series 5, very rare appearance there. Shame really, I think Otter's a nice character. It's such a really funny, really witty dialogue the Toads cobbled together from various sources. It's just mixing all these. And I love that hesitation of Ratty there, behind this tree. There's Toad's grand entrance. And the costumes are wonderful. I mean, this is a real treat for any costume maker, isn't it? So Nigel Cordford and Helen Plormer would have had a ball here. And a nice change from the norm, you know. Generally the costumes of the series, obviously very Edwardian, have to be in period. These would have been researched too, but you can have a bit of fun when it's fancy dress and costumes for theatrical shows and things. And of course, the study of Midsummer Night's Dream. This is our character straight out of it. I love this bit. That little nod. And I could tell that was the director again. So, the set as well is interesting. It actually pops up in a Toad in Time as well. Ancient ruins. So made especially for those episodes. I love how these lines here are part of the rhyming. Almost as if it was written especially for it by Toad. So, like I say, I do like this episode. It's probably not, thinking about it, it's not probably the strongest story, but I think the script is good, if that makes sense. So we've got a lot of witty dialogue in it, and it's a clever idea of Toad mixing up all these plays to make his own, put his own stamp on all of them. He's still calling it Midsummer Night's Dream. But in terms of the weasels, it's a typical story, isn't it? They're involved and they're trying to steal things by being involved in it. Love the gangsters playing cards there. I mean, Ratty's so obviously reading his dialogue now, isn't he? He was all conspicuous before, and now he's just holding a complete script out. So as the henchman being his usual idiotic self, lovely pull focus there from Toad to Badger. I'm always impressed by crowd scenes like that in those days when they can't check. Now it doesn't make much sense to me the way this tree falls, because it's wobbling, and obviously a wobble gets less and less, it's not going to suddenly fall. So it would have needed something else to push it, but just being fussy. Just thinking about physics. And we do have to think about physics really in animation. I like the way this is shot, of him looking at each of the weasels like that and then thinking. Oh, we get the usual O-tone. Got a very crisp look. You know, when you look at Toad's lip sync in these episodes, it's so clean and clear, isn't it? You know, in earlier episodes, I mean, I reviewed Mole's Cousin earlier today, and in those episodes the characters are moving a lot, but then the armatures were more solid and they had more control of them, so the upper head is so still when the lower lip is going up and down as it should for lip sync. And that's just one example of Toad, you know, all of them animated beautifully. So there we go. That was Midsummer Night's Dream. Sorry, Midsummer Night's Disaster. As it was a disaster, it certainly was. But Toad tried. You know, he had all good intentions. But of course, the weasels ruined it for him. But I thought it was funny, witty version of it. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on it. Like I say, I was introduced to that one fairly late on in that VHS cassette, the Oh Mr. Toad one. It was weird because this series was called Oh Mr. Toad here, and it was only known as Oh Mr. Toad, this final series. And then there was that W.H. Smith exclusive video with the different titles, opening titles, the Wind and the Willows opening title. But the Oh Mr. Toad video was the Wind and the Willows Oh Mr. Toad on it, and then you had the bumper special, which was episodes from this 5th series as well. It's as if it was, you know, you could call it either. You know, I like to think of it as Oh Mr. Toad personally, but it's obviously more available now as Series 5 of the Wind and the Willows. But anyway, there we go. That's Midsummer Night's Disaster. Thanks again for all your comments and thoughts. I will continue every 4 weeks with Series 5, so I will eventually get through them all during the course of a whole year. The next one is Gypsy Toad, which, yeah, I love that one. Paul Berry's on that one, Animation Toad. It's a beautiful animation in it, and it's a Jackie Cocker episode, and yeah, it's great. It's good fun. Probably not what I call a classic, but it is a good fun one. And that'll be in 4 weeks' time, so do join me then. Otherwise, next week I'm doing Caught in a Maze from Series 3. So, all the best. Do enjoy the summer. It's glorious weather we're having, mostly. A bit cloudy today, and I'll see you soon. Cheers and all the best.
Being compared with that of Toad, intelligent Mr. Toad, encouraging Mr. Toad.